Trick Pony jumping in, guys. A Diamond Protoss versus a Diamond Terran. Is Elite is what was it? Elementality still here in the chat? Got a PVT popping off here, guys. One Trick Pony. I like the name. Whoa, map hack alert. It's an okay start. Location hotkeys. Wow, he location hotkeys the opponent's natural. Some people do that. I don't really like doing that. I think you skip me. Maybe, but wasn't yours a win or something, or like a sky toss type deal? I'll have to get you next time, I think. Because Foverlord, I also vetoed Foverlord because Foverlord gave me a win, so I vetoed Foverlord. What gateway unit should I make to not die to a tank Hellbat push while transitioning? Disruptors would be very good versus the Hellbats. Immortals Adept shading on top of the tanks or Hellbats can be okay, probably. Something like that, I would say. Can get him, I don't mind. No, we'll do you, dude. It's fine. It's fine, we'll do you. I don't know. I may just get because the brow, like I don't know. The browsers when I click on them, like they don't line up like in a row. They're all scrambled. So this opener, this looks good to me, dude. This looks good to me. 19x, well done. This is all fine. This is all fine. Gas right timing as well. Scouting looks pretty good. Second pylon. Opener is fine. No complaints about your opener. Looks good. You did what I did, though. You scouted at 2 minutes. Remember, Reaper comes out at 2 minutes. But it was a win. I mostly want help with making the build order better. Well, hang on to it. Hang on to it, for sure. We'll definitely work on getting to all you guys, for sure. Reaper comes out at 2 minutes, guys. So keep that in mind. So either be scouting after Gateway versus Terran. Maybe after Gas, it's a little bit closer. But if you scout after Nexus, your probe gets there at 2 minutes, so your probe will die if you're doing it at 2 minutes, so just something to note. So either you don't scout or you scout a little bit earlier versus Terran. I would probably scout after Gateway versus Terran, because you can scout the double gas and see if he's cheesing you or not. But you see a Reaper, and Reaper almost always means that it's not going to be cheese. Twilight seems good. Seems good to me. I like where you're at. Is the Adept coming out? I will almost always open Adept versus Terran. I just think always opening Adepts is better. You can deflect the Reaper, and if they don't go Reaper, you can just keep scouting with your Adept shade and get a lot of information off that. So I think that is probably better. Oh man, this Reaper is what pain. 3 kills, don't show me 4. Mothership Core is a little bit late. I like to see the Adept and Mothership Core come out at basically the same time. So that's something I would definitely say. Also, I would not chrono Warp Gate. This is a spot where I would also just chrono both probes. And, yeah, I just don't like this in general. I would go, hey brother, don't worry about my replay. If you want to do Torque FC after, I'm probably going to be watching the stream from bed. And I'll be way too lazy to go upload it. Alright, man. Alright, man. But, well, Torque, aren't you, like, pretty good, man? I think you're pretty good, aren't you? But, thing about this is, like, basically the way I would not get Blink yet, either. The way I do my build, and I might not be, you know, the most perfect guy ever, but it's much better if you go delay Blink, you get double gate, and then Robo, and then start Blink after the Robo goes down and after the double gate, is how I would do this. Like, right now, and it also stems from not opening Adept, you know, maybe not chronoing your probes. Also, losing 3 probes really delays this as well, right? You should easily be able to get double gate and then Robo and then Blink. And also, I don't like the chrono on Blink because, you know, you should just be chronoing probes. You're not going to be going for a big Blink attack, and even if you were, you're not going to have the economy for a big Blink attack with chronoing only your Blink and chronoing this. So I would just consider chronoing your Nexi in the early game almost exclusively, right? Like, why? Why are we chronoing this Warp Gate? Why are we chronoing this Blink? Are we going for a big attack? Probably not. Are we just trying to get it out faster? Maybe. But what are we scared of? We're not scared of anything. I would consider maybe, you know, watching a replay of one of my PVTs tonight or someone else's PVTs, but the timing's you can definitely go Twilight, then Double Gate, and then Robo, and then Blink. So that's something I would consider doing for sure. Also, definitely keep the probes off your prono, and you've been cutting probes here. Well, we're not making probes right now anyway. I guess cutting probes to make gateways is okay, but, you know, you should have way more probes by now. You should have way more probes. And we have no vision, right? And that's also because we didn't open a depth. We also don't have a mothership core yet. My builds are terrible. It's alright, man. We all learn. We all learn in our own ways. And you're in an exact... You remind me of Meat, actually, Elementality, where... I still do this to this day, man, and it puts me behind in many games, more games than you think it would, where you play so safe that you fall behind. I do it all the time. I'll get the extra Robo Bay when I don't need it. I'll go double Stargate versus Zerg just because I think it's Mutas, even when it's not. I'll play so safe that I end up investing in things that I don't need, and it puts me behind. And you see it all the time, right? People will put pylons here and be at 30. They'll be at 28 out of 70 supply, right? They're just trying to get the overcharge in a good spot, and they end up delaying their tech by so much. Milo, hey. So yeah, it happens all the time. But I think opening Adept, opening Mothership Core right away is much better. Mothership Core is way too late. Definitely want to make it your first thing out with your Adept. And once again, you're chronoing so much, but you're losing so much chrono on your probes. Not sure why I didn't. It's alright, man. We all mess up small things during our game, so I'm sure, it could be an anomaly. It just happened in this game. That's fine. But, now your Robe is much later, and the Observer drop, I think, actually will be an issue for you. Won't it? I think... No, maybe it won't, but this Robo is, I think, a little bit late. Definitely is a bit late. Yeah, you can get this much earlier. If you do the timings I said, you're just losing so much. Like your probe you should be at like 36, 37 probes. You should be up like 6-7 probes against this Terran right now. But as it is, look, you're already down 300 minerals a minute. And there's been no. I mean, the Reaper killed 3 probes, so that obviously hurt you. You should be at more probes though. But it's really just like, let's say the Reaper didn't happen. You're putting yourself behind just because you're not chronoing your probes. I mean, eventually, once you get to about 12, 13 workers down here, I would start chronoing your probes, but definitely try to get a bit better at chronoing your probes for sure. Once again, you can't really kill this because the Adept is so much better. Adept 3-shots that, by the way. And now you're doing exactly what I said earlier, man, what people always do. And it all stems from your lack of vision. Lack of vision, maybe lack of an opener. Also, your chronos are still on this, which is not that good. But, if your Robo's faster, maybe your Observer gets to his base faster, and you don't need these 2 pylons, right? But now look at the situation we're going to be in here in a second. We are now sitting at 54 of 78, right? Just not very efficient to have these pylons. Just not very efficient. And it all stems from probably... I know you want to overcharge, you want some extra vision, but I just don't like it. Also, I would definitely mix the Sentry into one of these early Warpins. Guardian Shield is huge versus early game Terran. So, right, your lack of vision has hurt your economy because you've ended up playing a little bit safer. You weren't chronoing your probes. You're still chronoing your Cybernetics core. So just some things to think about. Warp Prism, I definitely would open with an Observer first, maybe 2 Observers would start. I mean, your lack of vision already is going to do you in here, right? He could be outside your base with a tank push. He could have 3 fast expansions. We have no idea what he's doing. Right? It's all about scouting, and your lack of vision and your lack of scouting is making you play safe, right? If you just scout a little bit more, you can take more risk, you can be more greedy, you can see what he's doing. But since you're doing... I've done the, this is what we all do, I think, until you get better. It's like, you don't know what's going on, so you're trying to touch all these different areas. You're like, okay, I'm going to get Warp Prism for harass, but I don't really know if he's harassing me. I'm getting these Stalkers in case he harasses me, so I'm going to warp in Stalkers, but I'm going to delay my tech because I'm warping in Stalkers. So you end up playing so safe, and you end up spreading yourself thin. You're like, okay, I'm going to get Pylons over here in case there's a Liberator, Widowmine drop, I'm going to get Pylons over here, going to make Stalkers. And it's like, you're defending all these things that if you just scouted, you wouldn't need to be guessing. Take the guessing out of it. Scout. Really try to read what's going into it. So that's something I would definitely recommend, man. Really just be way more on top of your scouting. Right, and this Warp Prism, I don't know, it doesn't really add you much value. Definitely, like I said to the other guy earlier, maybe try to add some Immortals in. Third base is pretty late. I don't think in the lower leagues and stuff, in general, even sometimes I get a late third. I don't think the late third is that bad. I mean, a lot of players do get a third way, like before these 3 gateways. You can go Nexus and then these 3 gateways, but I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing. And it looks like you are going Disruptors or Colossus, but let's see if you warp in more Stalkers here. And this is exactly similar replay to we had earlier. I don't know if you were around, but you commit so much to Stalkers that you end up delaying your tech so much, right? We got no Forge. We are getting Glaive, which is good. I like that quite a bit. And you are getting some Robotech, which is better than the guy earlier, right? We had no AoE. But you end up getting so much Stalkers, you don't have any Sentries. Guardian Shield is huge. Things like that. Like, you commit so much to this one piece of tech, where Stalkers really aren't that good the longer this game goes on, right? The Stalkers just don't give you that much value, right? I think you overproduce Stalkers here in the mid-game. It'd be better to just be on Sentries in the depths, and see, like, his army is just so much better than yours, right? He doesn't even have Marauders in here, and his army is way better than yours. Right? So imagine if you had, 2 Sentries and 6 Adepts. You would win this fight. And it's all about what you're warping in, over-warping in, things like that. So definitely things to think about, man. Definitely things to think about. Now you get your Double Forge. I mean, Double Forge is okay. Especially when you get your Forge this late. Now you're warping in some Adepts. And you're going Disruptors, I like this. Nice Chrono on your Forges, but... Oh wow, huge shot. Nice shot. But, like, see, you're still behind, and a lot of it stemmed off of, your economy is actually in an okay spot. He's actually going for a big 2-base play, it looks like, right? And see, you would have known this. And I'll tell you again, a good scouting information to know in the future, man. Why Glaives has so many Stalkers? Well, he already got Blink, Tom. I think when you play PvT, you should go Blink, and then get Glaive when Blinks finishes. Both are very important upgrades for Protoss. But scouting Terran, basically, the scout you look for when you're scouting Terran is... They always open 3 racks, factory, starport is how Terran opens. Your next big piece of information is, do they add 2 more gateways, or do they add one? Do they add a 3rd command center? That is the big decision that Terrans make, that you scout for. If they go for 2 more racks before the 3rd command center, it's a lot of aggression. Get ready for big aggression. If they go for the 3rd command center, they're expanding. They're playing a little more macro into it. But if they go for 2 more racks and they're on 5 racks in 2 bases, warping units, warping Adepts, warping Stalkers, produce units, an attack is coming. 5 racks on 2 bases is an attack. So just something to know. PvT better with Glaive instead of Charge. Yes, Glaive, Adept are very good. They're tanky, they're strong. Adept Stalker is what's good. Plus you can shade on top of the units and really chase them down. It's better.
Shall persevere.
And once again, man, the first time you really saw this coming, where we have this observer here now, was when it was here, right? Like, let's look at when you saw this build coming. Elementality. Right? You send the observer across the map. Oh, I guess he kicks you out. And we have no idea, right? You have no idea he's coming across the map. Absolutely none. Right? Just like everything, man, this attack's going to be hard to know. And the first time you know about this attack is when he's already right there. And you actually get a very nice shot off, right? Nice shot. But now your army's so weak. Right, you could have had better economy as well from the early game. Not chronoing probes, spending too much chrono on your core and Twilight, and sentries are very important. Guardian Shield is very important versus Terran Bio, right? So now you only had down to 1 disruptor, maybe because of how you opened. Right, you opened with the Warp Prison that really gave us no useful. I definitely wouldn't open with an Warp Prison first. I'd open 1 or 2 observers first, and maybe even some Immortals. Because the Warp Prison play really didn't give you... I mean, you're trying to be aggressive, but I don't really like being that aggressive with Blink Stalkers, especially at this time in the game. You're not going to get a lot done. You get some nice shots, and you actually have okay control, but you just put yourself so far behind from the other game. And you are up 8 workers here, but you didn't realize he was on 5 racks. He was doing a big 2-base attack, right? And maybe if you realized that, you could have played a little safer. You could have had more disruptors. You could have had more gateways. Things like that. So, yeah, Elementality. Any final questions? Hopefully that helped you, man. I think we actually had a decent amount of things that will probably help your game there. I hope your PvT gets a little bit better after that analysis. I think your control and mechanics actually weren't that bad. I actually thought they were pretty good. And, just a little bit not, maybe look up a build order, but I think just the things I said, Twilight, Double Gate, then Robo, and then start researching Blink. Get a Sentry on either your first or second warp in, so you have Guardian Shield. I like to get 2 Stalkers and a Sentry. Once Warp Gate finished, I like to get 2 Stalkers and a Sentry. More vision, right? You were in the dark pretty much the entire game. You didn't know what he was doing. Too few gates. You couldn't build an army. I think his biggest issue was honestly that and scouting, lack of scouting, no observers across the map, no zealots, right? You could have had zealots pre-spread here, here. You know, I love to put a zealot right here. I love to put zealots here and here. You know, the observer's kind of in no man's land, right? You never actually saw that he was on 5 racks, right? We actually never saw the inside of his base. So definitely just scout more. You know, if you come in here and see 5 racks, you say, okay, let's just defend, and you just hold this, right? You get big disruptor shots, you just hold. And yeah, that's all I gotta say I mean, you're close, dude. You're definitely close. Just a few things here and there I would change up for sure about your play. Scouting again, you know, it's so. I said it before we went into this game, and I'll say it again. Scouting is probably the most underrated part of StarCraft. Seeing the attack coming, right? If you had the observer here and you saw him pushing across the map, maybe you would have just held this. I mean, yeah, he had a big army, but maybe you would have just held this. I mean, look at the economy, right? You're ahead. You hold this, you just win the game. And maybe if you saw it coming, you would have held. Maybe your disruptor shot would have got a bigger shot. Maybe you would have you would have got the liberators right away. I don't know, right? But it's all about vision and scouting and really reading the situation through your scouting. Yeah. Hopefully that you can translate that into some W's on the ladder, man.